Hello everyone, welcome to today's story, a peaceful farm, a tender reunion with baby Henry. But behind Lytuna's quiet smile hides a painful secret. She has just suffered the loss of Alex's child. Will Alex truly stand by her when the truth is revealed? Will his mother open her heart to forgive and understand? Or will this loss create an unhealable distance? And can love survive when grief becomes the silent wall between them? Stay with us until the very end of the video to discover the answer. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so we can reach our first 1,000 followers together. The farm's gate creaked open as Lytuna stepped inside. Henry cradled tightly in her arms. The evening air was heavy with silence, but within her chest, a storm of emotions raged. Relief washed over her as she pressed her cheek to Henry's soft hair, his breathing steady like a lullaby she thought she might never hear again. The memory of losing him, those hours of fear, the helpless search, still clung to her like a shadow. Alex walked a step behind, his presence quiet yet unwavering. He reached to switch on the fan, a simple act that filled the space with a hum of reassurance. His voice was calm, grounding. "From now on, if anything happens, call me. I'll come." It wasn't a promise shouted in desperation, but a vow carried in steady tones, stronger than any grand gesture. Lytuna's eyes stung, not only from exhaustion, but from gratitude. Without Alex and the police, she might never have held Henry again. She whispered thanks, her voice breaking, unsure if words could contain the weight of her relief. Alex extended his arms, and Henry settled into them with surprising ease. The child's small hand grasped at his shirt, and in that grip, Alex felt both fragile dependence and unspoken trust. Lytuna watched, her breath unsteady, realizing how much Alex's presence had become a shield against her fears. Yet, beneath the warmth of reunion, an unspoken ache lingered. A secret lodged deep within her heart, heavy and silent. For tonight, though, she chose only to breathe in the fragile peace of being home, as if the walls of the farm might protect her from the world's cruelty. Morning sunlight spilled across the wooden floor, brushing against the stillness of the house. Lytuna moved quietly, tending to Henry, while outside the distant clamor of livestock rose and fell. Alex stood near the doorway, phone pressed to his ear, his voice calm but firm, as he managed the endless stream of updates from the wood factory. Orders, shipments, machines. His world of responsibility stretched far beyond these farm walls. Yet his eyes often drifted back to Lytuna, the sight of her rocking Henry, whispering lullabies beneath her breath, seemed to eclipse the noise of business. He spoke to his workers with efficiency, but his mind remained tethered to the fragile calm within this home. It was a delicate balancing act, being the leader his company needed and the protector Lytuna relied on. Lytuna noticed his tired shoulders, the way his words softened when his gaze landed on her. She realized Alex wasn't only fighting for contracts or shipments. He was fighting for her peace of mind. Even when he couldn't be physically present, he stretched himself thin, anchoring her world so it wouldn't collapse again. For Alex, care was not declared with grand phrases. It was hidden in the rhythm of his choices. Each late-night call he took, each early morning he stayed by her side instead of rushing to the factory, spoke louder than promises. His love was not loud. It was weight carried silently, a burden he never named. Lytuna, watching him hang up the phone and smile faintly at Henry, felt a flicker of warmth she had thought long extinguished. For the first time in days, she let herself believe she was not alone. The afternoon air shimmered with heat when Alex returned, carrying something large in his arms. Lytuna looked up from the kitchen, startled to see him balancing a wooden crib, its pale frame catching the sunlight like a quiet gift. "For Henry," he said softly, his tone as casual as if he had brought nothing more than a basket of vegetables. But his eyes betrayed a depth of meaning, concern, care, and an unspoken tenderness. Lytuna froze, her hands trembling. Until now, Henry had been sleeping beside her on the bed, a place both comforting and dangerous. The thought of him rolling, of something happening while she blinked away exhaustion, had haunted her nights. And now, here Alex was, presenting a shield against that fear. He knelt to assemble the crib, sleeves rolled up, brow furrowed in concentration. The scent of sawdust clung faintly to the wood, mingling with the aroma of rice cooking nearby. Lytuna stood in silence, watching the lines of his face, the steadiness of his movements. It was not merely a crib, it was a promise. Henry would be safe, and so would she. When Alex finally placed Henry inside, the baby stirred, then settled into sleep, his tiny chest rising and falling with steady rhythm. Lytuna's breath caught. The sight felt almost sacred. Henry protected within new walls, Alex's hand resting lightly on the crib's edge. Her lips parted with gratitude, but the words faltered. Instead, tears welled in her eyes, slipping down like rain across parched soil. In that moment, she understood. Gifts were not measured by their cost, but by the heart that carried them. And Alex's heart had quietly spoken louder than words. Evening settled gently over the farm, carrying with it the scent of earth and the low hum of cicadas. In the kitchen, steam curled upward from the pot as Lytuna stirred the soup, her hands steady though her mind still swam with recent fears. Alex entered carrying a freshly prepared chicken, his movements unhurried, his presence filling the small space with quiet reassurance. They worked side by side, their conversation soft and halting, like two people learning how to breathe again after being submerged too long. Alex suggested forgiving Lytuna's ex-mother-in-law, reminding her that grief and longing often drove people to reckless choices. Lytuna lowered her gaze, knife pausing mid-cut, the weight of his words pressing heavily on her. Forgiveness was a noble thing, yet her heart still trembled with fear, with the memory of her child nearly stolen away. As the broth simmered, the room filled with warmth that was more than physical. Alex poured rice into bowls, sliding one toward her with a quiet smile. Lytuna looked at him, noticing how fatigue shadowed his face, and yet he had stayed, cooking and sharing this simple meal. There was no grandeur in the moment, only a tenderness hidden in gestures. The way he refilled her bowl before his own, the way his gaze softened whenever Henry stirred in the other room. But beneath the clinking of dishes, a silence pulsed. Lytuna's heart carried a secret, an emptiness from the life she had lost. The child who would never sleep in the crib now beside Henry. She forced a smile, afraid that if she spoke, the fragile piece of this dinner would shatter like porcelain on the floor. Night draped itself over the farm, stars glimmering faintly beyond the open window. Inside, the house was hushed except for Henry's gentle breathing. Tuna sat at the edge of the bed, her hands pressed tightly against her stomach, as if to hold on to something already gone. The crib stood nearby, Henry safe within its wooden frame, but her eyes blurred with tears that refused to be contained. She remembered the sharp pain, the helpless collapse of dreams she had barely allowed herself to imagine. The child she had carried, the child that would have been hers and Alex's, was no more. In the silence of the night, the truth weighed heavier than any words. She had lost a part of herself, and she feared that loss might become the wall between her and the man who now sat quietly in the next room. Alex's voice carried faintly, a low murmur as he finished a call with the factory. His tone was calm, but Tuna heard the exhaustion beneath it. She thought of telling him, of laying her grief bare. Yet fear gripped her throat. Would he understand, or would disappointment cloud his eyes? Would his mother, stern and watchful, ever accept her after such a loss? Her heart thudded in the silence, louder than the ticking clock. She closed her eyes, fighting the urge to confess. The farm felt too still, the air too heavy with expectation. Beside her, Henry stirred, a fragile reminder of life still present. Tuna kissed his forehead, whispering a promise only he could hear. "I'll protect you, even if the rest of me is breaking." The next morning broke with pale light, spilling across the farm like a hesitant blessing. Tuna moved through the kitchen in silence, her eyes ringed with sleeplessness. Alex entered, carrying a basket of vegetables, his expression softened by concern. He sensed her distance, the way her hands trembled when she set the bowl down, the way her gaze slid away from his. Finally, as Henry slept, the words tumbled from her lips, halting, fragile, almost inaudible. She told him of the miscarriage, of the life that slipped away before it could begin. Her voice cracked under the weight of shame, as though her body's betrayal made her unworthy of his love. Alex froze, the basket slipping slightly in his grasp. For a moment, silence stretched between them, sharp as broken glass. But when he moved closer, his steps carried no judgment, only sorrow. His hand reached for hers, steadying her shaking fingers. "You've carried enough pain," he whispered. "Don't carry it alone." Yet the fear remained. Tuna's heart tightened at the thought of his mother. Would she see Tuna as a failure, someone who had robbed her family of a future grandchild? Later, when Alex's mother visited, the room grew heavier still. Tuna lowered her eyes, unable to meet her gaze. The older woman's silence was long and unreadable, a silence that felt like trial. In that suspended moment, every heartbeat was a question. Would love be enough to bridge this loss, or would it fracture under the weight of unspoken expectations? The dawn rose quiet, soft light threading through the curtains, brushing against the lines of weary faces. Tuna sat with Henry, cradled in her arms, her breath uneven as she waited for words that might never come. Alex's mother stood nearby, her gaze unreadable, the silence between them taut like a rope pulled too tight. Then, slowly, the older woman's eyes softened. Wrinkles deepened as tears welled, not in anger, but in recognition, of grief, of fragile humanity. She stepped closer, her voice trembling. "You've suffered enough, child." The words fell like rain after drought, breaking the weight of fear inside Tuna's chest. Alex remained at Tuna's side, his hand firm on her shoulder. "She is not alone," he said quietly. his tone carrying more strength than any declaration. His presence was a wall against judgment, and in that moment, Tuna felt, for the first time, that her pain was not hers to carry alone. Henry stirred, his small cry piercing the silence, drawing every gaze toward him. The crib stood steady, sunlight spilling across its wooden frame, a symbol of safety and new beginnings. Tuna kissed her son's forehead, her tears falling not just from sorrow, but from release. The three of them sat in fragile stillness, bound not by perfection, but by compassion. Loss had scarred them, but it had also carved space for understanding. Outside, the farm awoke. Roosters crowed, leaves rustled, life continued. And in that quiet dawn, Tuna realized family was not measured by what was lost, but by the love that remained to hold her through it.
Tử Na trở về trang trại cùng với Henry sau biến cố bị mẹ chồng cũ bắt đi nhờ Alex và cảnh sát. Henry được tìm thấy mang lại niềm hạnh phúc xen lẫn nỗi sợ hãi. Alex luôn âm thầm chia sẻ, thậm chí mang tặng cô chiếc hùi cũ để Henry được an toàn. Những bữa cơm giản dị, những khoảnh khắc im lặng, tình cảm bên cạnh nhau gắn bó. Thế nhưng trong sâu thẳm Tử Na nỗi buồn lớn. Cô vừa bị sảy thai đứa con trong bụng chung với Alex. Cô lo lắng, sợ anh và mẹ anh không thể tha thứ. Khi sự thật thổ lộ, Alex chọn bảo vệ và mẹ anh rơi nước mắt thông cảm. Câu chuyện khép lại bằng bình yên, nơi tình yêu, sự tha thứ chữa lành mất mát.